have our commercial team. We have DJ Freeze and we have Jeremy Miller with us today, and they work together as a team. So as always, I want to get started with learning more about you and your background. So DJ, why don't you get started?
Well, I started in real estate, or
in real estate, or maybe what you did before.
Well, right out of college, I thought that I wanted to go into real estate, specifically commercial.
Okay.
My parents told me that I needed to have a job prior to graduation.
Good for them. Good for them. Yes.
It was not an option. So I interviewed and went straight into commercial right out of college.
Okay, which is pretty rare, going immediately into commercial. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so my manager at the time, he said, okay, do you live at home? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, good. He goes, you're probably not going to make any money for at least 6 months, and any serious money for 12 to 18 months. And I'm like, okay. But they really wanted me. And I was like, I remember them, I'm like, so how am I going to get business, and how do I do it? I didn't know, literally didn't know anything.
Okay.
And they're like, oh no, like brokers open houses, things gonna be nice and good. And I'm like, oh cool, okay. So I signed up and went, and then they literally like threw me out in the field immediately. They're like, yeah, you gotta door knock, you gotta get your name out there, you gotta meet tenants, you gotta meet buyers, you gotta meet property owners, businesses, blah 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 blah. I'm like, holy cow. I mean, I didn't even know where I was going, what I was doing. When I started, my nickname was GPS Boy.
Figuring out where you were going.
Figuring out where I was going. I didn't know the territory or anything.
Yeah.
So.
What's cool about that is a lot of the things you mentioned are the same thing as the residential agent. So I think that's important for a lot of people to understand, is you still have to go out and do those things. The door knocking, the phone calls, meeting tenants, and getting out of your comfort zone in a commercial business, just like the residential business.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that about year 2 to 3, something like that, I was schlepping it out in 100-degree weather, handing out flyers, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. And I'm like, I'm not making any money. This is not good. So I actually interviewed to take another job. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I usually get offered jobs that I interview for. And for whatever reason, I did not get the job. And I had mentally committed to taking that job. And about, I'd say, I don't know, 3-4 months later, I had my first like $3 million deal closed. And it was the biggest blessing in disguise that's ever happened. I mean, it's not easy. And I tell people now that come in, I'm like, listen, you can make a lot of money doing this, but it's gonna suck.
I feel like I tell people the same thing. It's the first couple of years especially, you are gonna have to be all about the hustle. There's a reason why, only so many stick in, because it's not easy, or else everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, the real estate test, I mean, how much does that like actually teach you versus, practice? Not much.
Yeah.
I mean, and something that a lot of people get blown away by is they're like, wait, you have to have a different license. And I'm like, no, it's the same license. But yet the residential test, the license test is 95% residential driven. So I get thrown into this world of commercial real estate essentially knowing zero.
That's interesting. So that's good for everybody to know. You take that same exact test for commercial. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, I know you made the transition. You started out in residential. So tell me a little bit about that journey from residential to commercial.
Well, I first started working for a family business, manufacturing business.
Okay.
And so I did a little bit of the sales there, and I got used to it and everything like that. And then I realized that I wasn't going to progress anywhere with that, and wasn't making enough money. So I decided to start my own business and get my real estate license at the same time.
Yes.
And I did residential for like 2.5 years. I first interviewed at Keller Williams.
Hey, yes.
Like 2.5 years ago. And I actually didn't join because I went somewhere else in St. Cloud.
It wasn't me, by the way. It wasn't me. Yes.
And yeah, I felt a little bad when I came back in here. I was like, wow, I'm used to this place a little bit. I've been here before. And I worked for a couple different companies in St. Cloud, and then just got hooked up with DJ through a mutual friend.
Yes.
And decided, hey, let me learn about commercial. My knowledge is power. So I was like, let me try it out. And
Yeah.
I jumped over, and about, what was that, 6 months, 7 months ago?
So that was something that was super interesting because you actually were doing really well, especially for the time that you had
Part-time
been in
too.
residential.
I never was full-time in residential.
Part-time, you were doing well, which we don't normally see. Normally it's kind of that flailing of somebody trying to figure out what they want.
Yeah.
So what was the pull towards commercial for you?
Honestly, this is you ask me this all the time. Social media, there's a couple people I know on social media that do commercial real estate as opposed to residential, and they have a lot of meticulous items that I like, and I want to have the same thing. And I was like, commercial. Sounds like there's a lot of money there, so that's where I kind of make the jump.
You had the money.
And commercial, you don't work weekends as much as you do residential, so that was a big plus for me.
I mean, it's the life by design, right? It's what you want it to look like. So that's really cool. Tell me what, like, you thought commercial was going to be one thing. What are some things maybe that you thought was one thing in commercial and it's not really that way?
Biggest thing to me that stood out was the fact that with residential, you click on showing time, you schedule a time, it's available, boom, 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 you're in there, you're out of there.
Yeah.
You could put a contract in the day and have a response the same day. With commercial, you have to call and ask for availability. You have to wait for 3 days for them to get back with you and tell you it's available. And then you have to schedule a showing after that, and it takes another 3 days. And then you have to submit an offer, and there's a whole line of that. But it takes weeks to even get a response back. So, I mean, it's completely different. I'm like, I'm not this patient. I'm not at all.
Wow, yeah, that's a patience thing. And definitely when you're used to the other, that would drive residential real estate agents bonkers.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, when he told me that,
I'm like,
when he told me, like, how residential agents do it, I'm like, what? Like, why don't we do it in commercial? I'm like, this is amazing.
Yes.
But,
so talk to me about where most of your business comes from. I know that you're building and you've had huge growth in the past year. Where is your business coming from, especially with COVID and everything happening there? Tell me about that.
So maybe start from like when I started at KW to the change and then to now.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I started at KW, there were other commercial people here, and I moved from Los Angeles to Orlando.
Yes.
Gave up my entire book of business back in LA, 6 years worth of work. I did not know the streets. I did not know the territory. I said the word Cimarron.
Which is Cimarron, by the way. Yes.
And my wife corrected me and got a laugh at it. But I knew what I needed to do to be successful because I'd done it once before.
I was gonna say you were thrown in once before.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Which was the hard work, which was the grind, and out on the streets. I don't know, 3 days a week at least. Just doing my thing and meeting people. I'm not really a big phone cold caller. I'm a big face-to-face person. So I was doing that. I was doing okay. And then COVID hit, and then we had a transition in this office, and I met with you immediately.
Yes.
And I said, I want to step up. I see a lot of potential in stuff that hasn't been done before, so I really wanted to get residential agents involved with commercial. First through like the education of it, and then the commercial referral business. Because I thought to myself, well, okay, if I know 240 agents, how many people do they know? And instead of me going, one-to-one, business to business, why don't I market to all of my friends and people that I know? I'm like, duh. Yeah. And so after I had that mindset change with a lot of your help and guidance. The primary amount of our business is referral based from the residential agents.
And I would say, I know that's something that we've talked about before. One of the values of being with KW is because you have direct access to all the residential agents that most have no business doing commercial, right? So
Yeah.
you have all this access for referrals. You don't have to pay for it. It's more just about building those relationships. Yet you also provide value. It's not like you're just going out there and saying, give me the business. You're teaching. People may ask you questions. You're always there for that,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. So why do you stay with KW? We know commercial KW isn't necessarily maybe the biggest name known out there. Tell me why you stay with KW.
Well, I'll back up a little bit. So the firm that I was with in Los Angeles was a very large regional firm, which is structured practically the same way as the large regional or the large national firms out here. So I know that world. I know exactly the corporate structure, the hierarchy, how things are, and the way that is. I'll say it. I mean, it's kind of funny, but and that was kind of like my mindset was, okay, that's where I'm going to work. I'm going to go work for the CBs or Colliers or JLOs, the big guys out here. So when I moved, I interviewed at a couple of those houses, and my wife said, why don't you go interview at KW Commercial? And I kind of laughed, and I said, I'm like, babe, no, I'm sorry, I'm big.
Too bougie.
Yeah.
In a sense, that's what you're saying.
In a sense. And literally, I met Christina and a few of the other people here and interviewed, and I'm like, done.
Wow.
And we don't have a lot of the commercial real estate specific resources at our disposal here. But that being said, almost every commercial real estate shop, it's a 50-50 split.
Right.
So, but anyway, the reason I stay here is because of the people. Seriously. I mean, I'm in the office every single day, and everybody here is like, a friend. My wife says, we've changed this up. I used to message her in the office and say, I'm walking out. Now I have to message her. I have to wait until I'm in my car to message her, because chances are from my office to the car, I'm going to get stopped by somebody and get caught up in a conversation. So she said, don't leave me on anymore.
I do the same thing. Until I get my car, I'm on my way. He knows better, because I can say, oh, I'm on my way up here, same kind of deal.
Yeah.
I'll get caught into a conversation. Sometimes it's like, hey, come in here, I got a question, and forget it. It's an hour later. So I love that. That's so good. Jeremy, you're involved in like a mentorship program. That was kind of what we set up for you. Like, hey, come hang out with DJ. You're in the office. What has that been like as far as the transition and getting you into that world? I'd love to learn a little bit more of how that's worked. I know you guys are super informal, so it wasn't as structured. It was like, here's what you do.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't fresh, so it wasn't like he had to teach me all about the basics. I mean, it's kind of similar, but it's completely different. So when I came in, he was like, it's run like this, this, and this, and then he honestly just threw me in the water. Right
Just
in the
like
deep
you
end.
were, right?
Yeah, and said, go at it, here's a lead, do this, blah, blah, blah. And after that, I realized, it's not that different. I can definitely pull and keep up with it. So I think, I just kept going at it, and since then he's been just keeping me up with work, and
I like gave him a little thing here to see how he did, and he nailed it. I'm like, oh, okay, you can do it, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more, and then but also he's super eager to learn.
Yes. Yeah. Learning based.
I mean, he tells, like, I'll do commercial lease review, which is like documents like this, and I'll have to sit through that and read it for a couple hours, and he wants to do the same thing, but he wants to do it on his own, and then read what I did to compare notes so you can learn. Contracts and language is a lot to do with commercial real estate.
Yes.
So.
That's the perfect mentee or somebody to have that you're teaching is somebody who wants to learn.
He's a sponge.
Yeah. There's nothing I don't want to know. I want to know everything. So that's what I'm kind of about it.
So I know there's all kinds of different types of commercial. Do you do it all? What's your specialty? Tell me about that.
So because what you have in commercials, you've got industrial, which is completely different than office, which is completely different than retail, different than multifamily, different than land. And every single one of those asset types has different lingo, different contracts, different ways of coming up with a value. So I guess what I started with at my previous firm and what I learned was industrial commercial. So I love industrial commercial, but I do retail and a little bit of office. And it's not to say that I can't do it all, but it's really having a specialization and knowing certain types of things makes you successful. And like a residential agent, it's difficult to be to know all about Orlando and Jacksonville. Like you it's completely different.
Very hyper local, yes.
So but whenever I get a residential agent that says, "Oh, somebody's looking for a warehouse," I'm like, yes.
That's your thing.
I'm like, yes, I love industrial.
I like retail because it's more personal. It's more like you get somebody who's saved all their money up to start a business somewhere, and you got to find them a location, and they got to more along the lines like it more than something else. Like industrial building is just broad, but with retail, it's like more personal. You get to really feel them out more. So.
Well, that's perfect. So what is next? I mean, the fact that you kind of are liking two different parts, of course, that has growth, which is fantastic. What is next for your team? What are you guys looking to do next?
We've spent a lot of time talking and thinking about it. At some point, not maybe immediately, but we're going to be looking to grow and to bring on talent. With that is going to come much more structured.
Okay.
Learning.
Live and learn, right?
Yes. It's funny when I met with you on that day. Previous to that, and in LA, well, another thing about commercials, there are very few young people in the business. It's very older.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm the youngest one everywhere we go.
Watch the older word there, DJ. Watch the older word. Yes. You mean like my age, kind of.
Yeah. So I was always the kid, and then all of a sudden I go from being the kid and like looking up to people to like, oh, all of a sudden there's somebody looking up to me to teach them, and I'm like holy cow. So there was a mindset.
Now he's the kid.
Yeah.
Now he's the kid, and
I got the beard though.
There you go.
And I talked to my other guys. I'm like, I've got a junior. They're like, you've got a junior now? I'm like, yeah. But so I mean, not to say that it was I had a plan for him, so to speak. But what I was able to do was to take the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like and tailor my teachings to him in that respect.
Yes.
But moving forward, because commercial real estate is there's so much to learn and so much to know. We're going to have and we are going to have a structured course, that you have to take and go through, and then pivot to us for the guidance and the specifics and things like that.
Perfect. That's what I figure. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so it is time for Rapid Fire 5. Let's learn a little bit about both of you. I have not shared any of these questions with them, so it's kind of off the fly. Let's go. So, DJ, this first one is for you. You have 3 boys, right?
I do.
What is the one thing you can't wait to do with them when they become teenagers?
Golf.
Golf.
Golf. I'm a big golfer.
Okay.
And nothing excites me more than I took my 6-year-old stepson to the driving range.
Okay.
And I was like, and we've been training in the backyard for a long time before I take him public, before I take him in front of anybody else. And I was filming him, and he hits this great shot, and I'm like, and everybody else is looking on the range. I'm like, yeah, I taught him that.
There you go. You had no hesitation on that, by the way. No hesitation. All right, Jeremy, second one's for you. What's the one thing your coworkers here would be surprised to know about you?
Oh.
I like that.
I don't know. I don't really know yet.
Come on, I know there's stuff we don't know about you because you're in that office working at all times.
If you don't see me in the office, I'm typically on the boat fishing. That's the one biggest thing I do.
Big fisherman.
Yeah.
Now, see, I haven't seen any pictures or any social media of that. So.
Well, I've been working so damn much. That's
there
what's
you
going
go.
on.
See, speed driver. So fishing.
I'm going next month, and so I'll be
Awesome.
posting something then.
Where would you like to fish? Like, where somewhere
Oh, my
out
favorite
of the
place is
country?
Bahamas.
Bahamas.
Yeah, we cross on the boat a
Okay.
lot and go over there with my buddies.
So all deep sea.
yeah.
Deep sea.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. All right, this is for both of you. Each of you can answer. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh, geez.
I'll take it.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
There's a lighthouse in Isla Mirada. We go there every year, multiple times a year, and we kind of just snorkel around there and hang out. But one time we went there and there was nobody there, and my buddy bowed the boat up to it, and I hopped off and climbed on the alligator lighthouse, and went up to the top, and it was like the craziest view I've ever seen. I said, to this day, that's the best thing I've ever done.
And your parents are probably cringing right now. Yes, that
Like,
sounds very
I didn't have
sick.
my phone because I hopped off the boat and I didn't get to take pictures, but I do have drone photography up there, so
Yeah, but
you
it's
get an
the
idea of what it looks like.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you gotta follow that.
It was crazy. There was like a rustic stairwell going up it, and you would step down on it and it would fall apart. So you had to go really slow. It was sketchy.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
super sketchy. Oh my gosh. Now you gotta follow that.
Okay, so you said
Adventurous.
Ad-
Yeah, whatever you
ad-
think is adventurous.
adventurous. Okay. I do have to say it's probably travel related.
Okay.
I haven't come up with I don't have
I mean,
anything
you had
specific.
a third baby boy. That's pretty adventurous. That's pretty adventurous.
Debbie, that is the most adventurous thing that's ever
There you
happened.
go. I was like, I know
Oh
he's
my
gonna
God.
think of this if he can't.
Oh my gosh.
That
That's
is-
it.
That is adventurous.
That's it.
See? Got it. Number 4, movies. Do you prefer drama, horror, or love stories? I saw Jeremy's face, so I'm guessing it's not love stories.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with horror. Yeah, for sure.
Horror.
Yeah, I like the
Okay.
excitement.
Oh, I would say drama, but secretly I like a rom-com here and there. I mean, come on.
He went like this as soon as I said love story.
No, because I have a girlfriend. She makes me watch that stuff all the time. I'm just like, when's this thing
You're
over?
right.
I mean, honestly, my wife and I were binging through Desperate Housewives right now.
Oh, okay. The fact that he admits that on camera, I
will.
am loving that.
Yeah.
This is why we love you, DJ. That's hilarious. Okay, here's another one. Another big one. So I'm going to go to you first so you have time to think, DJ.
All right.
What's your biggest fear?
Oh, I do not have a fear.
No fears.
No, maybe snakes. I don't know. Maybe snakes,
Okay.
but I do not have a fear.
I mean, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, snakes.
Yeah.
My biggest fear.
Somebody's gonna bring a snake in the office.
I
Oh,
know.
it's gonna shit
That,
out of me.
we're taking notes. We're taking
Delete
notes
that.
on this. Yes, we're taking notes.
I mean, I might say heights.
Okay.
Not necessarily, but skydiving. I've had people, my buddies over the years, try to get me to go skydiving, and I refuse. I will not do it, and you cannot get me onto a plane to do skydiving. So
Yes.
I do get a little freaked out at heights.
See, so he would not be doing that lighthouse thing with you
Oh.
anytime
No,
soon.
no,
You'd be on your own there. So
Yeah.
awesome. All right, well that is it for this session of Agent Spotlight. Thank you, DJ and Jeremy. We will make sure to put their contact information in the video. Once again, thanks for joining us. Bye.